How's everybody doing? It's Joe here from Webcast, and today we're going to be looking at Houndoom Gumshoos GX. This is obviously a deck I've profiled on the channel before, but I didn't get a chance to show it off properly. Didn't get a chance to play any games with it, of course, which is a big thing. So I wanted to come back to it and show you how I've updated the list to sort of keep up with the meta a bit, and sort of now that I've been able to test a lot more as well, what I think is the optimal way to run it. And I really don't think there's like any changes I would make to this at all. I think this is probably as optimal as you'll get this concept, I think. I haven't found, I think this is I've been playing these exact 60 cards for quite some time now, and I haven't found a single cut that I want to make or a change I want to make. I think it's fine as it is. But anyway, of course, I got actually a surprising amount of traffic on the last Houndoom video, with a lot of people doing stuff like asking me questions about it and sort of just showing a lot of interest in it, really. So I figured it would be a good idea to elaborate on that, explain the deck a little bit more in more detail, and go over some of its matchups and play some games, obviously, because that's what we're here to do. So we're going to start 3 Houndoom. I'm not going to do a massive deck analysis of this. If you want to see a more in-depth sort of coverage of this, you can go to the original video. I'll link it in the description. I'm mostly just going to be going over what I've changed and the important stuff, really. So what we got here is Houndoom. Melting Horn is discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Whole deck is built around this. You Melting Horn, until your opponent runs out of cards, and then you win the game. And that's the whole strategy behind the deck. We run 3 of them. It's our main attacker. Well, quote-unquote attacker. We also run a 1/1 line at Gumshoos GX. Gumshoos is real good, like real good. It's my favorite card, potentially ever. I'm loving this thing so much. I'm not even exaggerating. I really like this card. The ability is so simple, so succinct, but it's so brilliant. Once you're in your turn, you just look at your opponent's hand. It's great. You never misplay because you know, oh, do I want to N? Or do I want to Team Skullgrunt this turn? Well, now I can figure out which is the best option. Should I Lazant that up? Does he have a Floatstone in his hand? I got a way to find out now. Yeah, it's super good. I really, really like it. It means that you never misplay. And when you never misplay, you always have a better chance to win. And I think it goes more naturally with disruption-based decks when you always have this choice between, do I draw more cards with a supporter, or do I just, take my supporter for the turn to actually start disrupting my opponent? And that's where it really comes in handy. Gumshoe Chance GX as well can clear major threats off the board. 10 plus 50 plus each energy unless your opponent's active Pokemon. So if your opponent has an Evil EX with a bunch of energy on it, there you go, that's your kill. And it's simple as that. So it's 2 really great assets that it brings to the deck. One of the underrated things is it's 210 HP and is not weak to water. This is massive in a bunch of things. So in the Greninja matchup, you'll spend a lot of time with this thing just in the active, not declaring Melting Horn. So that you can make sure that they're either drawing dead or their hand is out as energy. And my phone is buzzing. I'm going to throw that to the side. There we go. And that's basically how you win that matchup, is you just wall out with the Gumshoos and you just use your max potions on the Gumshoos instead. Same goes for Volcanion. You put them in a weird position. If they ever get 4 energy on one Volcanion EX, now they're going to get killed by Gumshoe Chance. And that's huge. That can clear a major threat off your board. That can set them back a bunch of turns. But you can also just wall out with it because you can control how much energy your opponent has in their hand to discard with things like Skullgrunt, with things like ending them to low hand sizes, using Search the Premises to make sure that they can't do what they need to do. Those are 2 ways that you can win those matchups. Sky Return into Gumshoos is something I actually do in the Volcanion matchup to put things in Gumshoe Chance range, as hilarious as that sounds. It's a really difficult matchup, and I think that's like the only way you can win it. So that's like the best thing about him. And Yungoos, 70 HP is such a nice number. What else we got here? 2 Shaman is how we draw cards. 1 Bunnelby is a non-EX that we can use in place of Houndoom to make people go through, like, essentially, in theory, like 3 Houndooms in a Bunnelby as opposed to just 3 Houndooms. So it forces the prize trade back in our favor to make them kill a non-EX. Road Distiller is also really good because we use up a lot of hammers and stuff and maybe we need to get those back, and that's our way of doing it. 1 Beedrill EX gives us a completely alternate win condition in our opponent has no energy, and now we're going to get rid of the Floatstone that they have on whatever Pokemon I decide to Lazand up. So yeah, that's really why it's there, and it basically creates a completely different win condition. Because a lot of the time your opponent has one thing with the Floatstone and then one thing with a ton of energy on it, and all of a sudden now you can just lock it in the active. They can't win if they can't attack, and that's the theory behind the Beedrill. And it does come up. It's probably the least useful Pokemon out of the line. And I could see you running Minchino if you were worried about the whole EX thing. It's never come up for me personally. And I like the threat of the higher HP. I like the option to get rid of 2 tool cards as opposed to just 1 Floatstone, for example. So no, I'm happy with the Beedrill. But yeah, that's what the Pokemon line is like. It's pretty simple. Nothing too major. What else we got? Stadium and Choice. Again, like I said, I'm not going to go into super detail about this. Stadium Choice is still parallel. I think it's the only way you beat Ray. You can still get rid of all raised energy, but you need to make sure that they can't get out this huge damage output, you know, before you manage to get rid of all their energy. And that's pretty big. This side, restricting damage is pretty good against Greninja and Volcanion. It can force some weird math. Again, especially if you've got Gumshoos in the active spot and you're reducing their damage output, that's huge. So that can help too. I think 2 is fine. Also, just limiting people's options so they can't hoop it and go crazy turn 1 and just get like immediate KOs and stuff like that is also quite big. It can also remove Shamans or damaged Houndooms from your own bench. There's a lot of reasons to run Parallel. One super rod is something I added in. I had E-Retrieval in the last deck. I still like E-Retrieval that it gets it into the hand, but a lot of games, you know, you have to dig through your deck, your opponent doesn't, and that can be big. So every turn you have to like dig for either Max Potion or Crushing Armor or something like that. Your opponent can just sit there and either declare an attack or pass. And that sort of creates an imbalance where you might deck out before your opponent does, as weird and all as that sounds. Super Rod basically means that will never happen. I don't think it was happening occasionally, and then I put in Super Rod and it never happened again. So Super Rod has to be. It also means you can get back Bunnelby, or you can get back a Gumshoos piece if you need to get back one of those. So that's pretty cool. What else are the techie things? Yeah, it was before, it was 3 Flare Grunts and 1 Skill Grunt. I have now gone to 4 and 1, because 99% of the time you're going to want a Flare Grunt instead. Like, it's just strictly better, because the threat is on the board, get rid of it. And a lot of the time you don't know if Team Skull Grunt's even going to work, or you don't want to waste your support doing it when you're not actually disrupting their board state. Like, if they've already gotten energy down, if they're already like streaming attacks, you don't want to, you know, you want to deal with that first. You don't want to deal with what's in their hand. But it's still important to run for matchups like Decidueye and matchups like Greninja, where I don't think it's winnable if you don't run Skull Grunt. Like, that's the only way you win this matchup. It's by Skull Grunting away Greninja's energies. And against Decidueye, if they Hollow Hunt back all the energy you discarded, cool, you just Skull Grunt it away. That's pretty sick. I don't think Decidueye is a bad matchup at all, actually. I think a lot of that comes down to they're going to be using their abilities every turn, and they can be clever and like put them on multiple Houndooms so that they're sort of like forcing you to only Max Potion one of them, and that can be difficult because you want to Max Potion both of them, obviously. But I think you can deny the attacks really easily. I don't think that's a problem at all. And plus, they try to burn through their deck to try and get up all the Decidueyes that they need, and you don't have, like, that's just them losing cards. And that's great for you, because that's what you want to see. On top of that, you can Grand Flame a Dartrix if it ever comes up. But no, that's what Melting Horn is really good at. And basically, the matchup kind of comes down to, can you hit your E-Hammers? Or your Crushing Hammers even. If you flip heads on them, it's fine. And it's one of those weird matchups where I would like the third Enhanced Hammer, and I'm starting to think I might go back to that with both Rayquaza and Mewtwo seeing play recently. But on the other hand, it's dead in so many other games that I feel like 2 is fine. But no, I think it's the key to winning it. If they're playing the Vileplume variant, it's a little scarier. But I think with 4 Flare Grunt, you should still be able to deny them a reasonable amount of energy. So yeah, I think that's how it goes. If they're not attacking, they can't win, even with the abilities. So what else should I talk about in this? The 1 Rocket is still putting in work. It just comes in clutch if you know how to use it. Again, I'll copy and paste what I wrote about the Rocket's Handiwork math in the description of this video, but basically you can add up the amount of cards in your opponent's deck and decide whether or not to use Rocket's Handiwork. You divide it by 3, 2 for, like, you mill for 2 with Melting Horn, -1 because they draw for turn, so you're essentially milling 3 cards a turn. So take their deck, divide that by 3. Whatever number you're left with is the amount of turns you have left to win the game, if nobody ends. So you use that, then you take the remainder. So like if it's 13, that's 4 turns, remainder 1, because it goes in 4 times and that's 12. And then with the remainder, if the remainder is 0, a heads on Rocket will affect the turn count. Also, you can miss a Melting Horn, and it won't affect the turn count. If it's 1, don't miss Melting Horn, but Rocket is a good play because it will reduce by 1. Whereas if the remainder is 2, don't miss Melting Horn, and also, even if you flip 1 heads with Rocket, it won't reduce the amount of turns your opponent has remaining. So, again, if you're confused by that, read the description, but Rocket's Handiwork's super cool. But I wouldn't run more than 1. You need to prioritize disrupting their board states. 2 Fury Belt, 3 Floatstone. Floatstone's what you want on everything. Because sometimes retreating to a fresh Houndoom is way better than just having A damage Houndoom stuck in the active position, so there you go. And 7 fire is fine. I really don't think there's anything else I need to explain. I cut the Araquanid. As cool and all as that idea is, I ran a 1-1 Araquanid to, in theory, have an auto win against Volcanion. But I just don't think it's relevant enough to run a 1-1 line for something that's only going to be good once. And I think you can beat Volcanion. You can beat, like, average Volcanion players. Because that's how good Gumshoos is, honestly. And I hope I get to show that off. But once you get to, like, day 2 Volcanion players, you're not going to beat those guys. But for, like, I don't think this is ever a deck that's going to make top 8 at the tournament. I think this is strictly, like, a day 2 tournament, day 2 deck. Because it's got some great autumn wins. It catches people by surprise. If you're not an experienced player, you have no idea how to play the matchup, and that's crucial. It can really, like, you know, piss people off, essentially, and that's a huge strength to have. So I think if you really know how to play this, there's a bit of a skill ceiling with it, and not even necessarily a skill ceiling, but you need to practice with it. You need to learn how this deck works before you just, you know, you can't just pick up a 60 card list and go into a tournament and expect to do well. I think you really have to know the ins and outs of it and know when to make certain decisions. And the Gumshoos is perfect for that as well. So, long story short, Gumshoos is the greatest card ever printed. That's all you need to know about this. And what else? Tool is on now, because a lot of the time, if you're against a good player, they'll only play one bench Pokemon. But you're not always against good players. And some decks can't even, like, stop themselves from benching Pokemon. Like, if you look at Turbo Darkrai, that tends to have a solid amount of Pokemon in play. And if they're not getting a bunch of Darkrai's in play, they're just having one Darkrai with a bunch of energy on it, that's Gumshoe chance potential. And that can cause loads of issues for them. So, you can punish them either way. Volcanion has to bench heavy if they want to be taking, like, doing work with the baby Volcanions and taking a 1... If you want to force them to take a 1-hit KO on a Gumshoos, then they're going to need to bench heavy, and that's great, because you can Lizond up something without a Float Stone. So there's a good few matchups where that does come up. So the 2 Lizond does make sense. I found myself losing a lot of games because I couldn't Lizond at the right time, so I had to up it to 2. Pokepuff would be nice. You'd think it would combo really well with Search the Premises. I had it in for a while, and I just never used it. Like, Pokepuff's one of those cards that, in theory, I think it works, like, incredibly well. Like, if you pull it off, it's amazing, but you're just never going to pull it off. I just don't... There's, like, no deck that I play it in, like, ever, because I just don't think it's a consistent enough card. Target Whistle would be great, though. You're, like, Melting Horn away a Volcanion, and you Target Whistle it back and Lizond it into the active spot. I think that would be cool. But, you know, we're not playing Expanded. If we were, this would be a very different list. So, anyway... that's the deck. What other matchups? What's his bad matchups? The only, like, really unwinnable ones. Lapras, you're not winning that. I think your only way of winning that is you get rid of all their energy, but that's so hard to do when they can just explode off the bat with, like, if they're running Palkia, they're not going to run out of energy. The Manaphy means everything has free retreat, so that's a bitch. They're taking 1-hit KOs on everything. It's super annoying. So I don't think you're winning that. Like, you have a chance if you get rid of all the energy. It's just not going to happen. There's also... Volcanion is super tough. Super, super tough. And I think if you play at the top of your game and your opponent doesn't, then you should be able to beat it. As weird and all as that sounds, because you can essentially still lock them out of stuff. You can wall with the Gumshoos. You can Lizond up blank targets that don't have Float Stones on them. You can use Beedrill. That's a big threat in that matchup, despite the fire weakness. There's plenty of things you can do to put it in your favor. I just think if you're against a Volcanion player who knows what he's doing, he's not going to let you have those options. And that's partly, again, where it comes down to this is a great deck for making day 2 of a tournament, but not making it top 8, which is a bit sad, but that's the place I think Houndoom's always had. Personally, I think this is the best position Houndoom has ever been in. Once Choice Band comes out, it's going to get a lot worse. Just telling you now, because it'll be much easier to kill a Houndoom than it currently is. What other matchups are relevant? Thinking of top 8s. Turbo Darkrai. It really depends what variant. If they're running the Garbodor variant, they're running Float Stones. This is cool because it means you have more Lizond targets. And again, Beedrill can put in the work there. If they're not running... And also, a lot of the lists are dropping Olympia, which plays into your favor, like, super well for obvious reasons. If they're not running that, and they are running, like, just the version with, like, a bunch of escape ropes and silent labs, that's a lot trickier. because the baby Yveltal is annoying as hell. Because you will Crushing Hammer off all their energy, and then they'll just get Oblivion Wing it back into play. Now, Team Flare Gun puts in the work there, but they can just escape roll back into a Darkrai and then swing for massive damage, and that's super annoying. So that's incredibly annoying. But again, you can still work around it. They still do have to bench a lot of Pokemon. They are going to run out of switching cards eventually. Gumshoos will probably be able to tank a hit even if Houndoom can't. And the great thing is you can float stone a Gumshoos. So even if you can't find a max potion, you can just retreat into like a Houndoom with a Fury Belt. And now they're forced to deal with another clean 210 HP Pokemon. So yeah, you can force things like that. So I think it's like an alright matchup. The baby of Yveltal is what swings it. Like if it wasn't the baby, like that's why like Darkrai Tina is like easy enough. Or at least it was before they started running baby Yveltal. Because you just got rid of the energy and then you won. I think it was like an auto win if they didn't run baby Yveltal, which is insane to think about. N as well is a great player in all these matchups. Anything that doesn't run Orangaroo is going to get highly punished by you ending them to 1 and drawing 6 yourself. That's also another reason you can deck out before they do, because they shuffle in a big hand, you draw a big hand, which can play out of your favor, but then again, super odd, puts in the work. Vespiquen. Vespiquen is in your favor. If you can mill Special Charge, you'll win. That's simple. Now that they're running 2 Special Charge, or that almost every single list is running 2 Special Charge, it's more difficult. And I think I've played it out a couple of times, and like the Vespiquen player can win if they really time their energy well, but Skull Grunt is always such a threat. Because they can't like just hold the energy in their hand, because if I see it with the Gumshoos, I'm just going to pick it off. And that's great. That's insanely powerful, and that can swing a lot of things in your favor. But no, getting rid of Special Charges with Melting Horn, I think if you can get rid of the both of them, you win. And that and the Skull Grunt are the big players in that matchup. And also, other than that, like, you're fueling their damage, but at the same time, like, they could just sit there with a Vespiquen active and then be like, alright, he's just going to mill away a bunch of my Pokemon for me, and then that'll increase my damage. And that works, but they're losing a lot of other cards too. And they can't bench too few Pokemon, because then you put them at risk of Grand Flame KOs, and that's cool too. If you really have to, Gumshoos chance will kill a Vespiquen. So there you go. Yeah, that's another matchup where eventually Double Scrapper can come up. If they start with something that isn't Combi, they have to float stone it, and that can be big. Ideally, their board is just 2 Vespiquens, and that's all they want. But, that's not how it goes sometimes. And obviously, restricting their damage by 20 is big too. So, yeah. Actually, as well, one other thing that swings it, if you power up Headbutt Bounce in that matchup, and they're not ready for it, you will just sweep through whatever they have on their board, which is hilarious. And I am considering running a DZE for Sky Returns and Headbutt Bounces, because it comes up more often than you'd think. Heck, I probably just make a deck that's just 4/4 Gumshoos. Everything about this card is great. Mega Mewtwo, I think, is just super in your favor. Does Espeon throw it off a little bit? I haven't tested that out. I don't see why it would necessarily. 60. It doesn't even have a higher damage output, so no, I don't think it would. But no, Mewtwo should be in your favor. It depends on their Mega Turbo count a lot of the time, but I think they're cutting down on that to fit in the Espeon sometimes. Yeah, it usually comes down to a very close game, but Lizon Beedrill is huge in that too. That comes up a lot in that matchup. Max Potion is your best friend in that matchup, though. Anyway, I will stop talking now, and we will head into a game. So, where is it? Regice Vileplume. I don't want to play Regice Vileplume. Houndoom. I made it to the second iteration of the ladder, which is pretty cool. I got 2 hours left to get my 2 more Darkrai's. Yay. I've been playing a lot of Passimian lately. Maybe too much Passimian, honestly. It's a fun deck. It's really consistent. But we're not talking about Passimian today. We're talking about Houndoom. So Pokepower 22. Calling the coin flip. Lovely Worlds coin here. I did like Train Conductor Pikachu. It's one of my favorite, more recent iterations of World Pikachus. So this hand is... It's not complete trash. But... if I could choose my opening hand, it wouldn't be this. Alright, so it looks like it's the Silent Lab version of Darkrai Tina. Not Darkrai Tina, sorry, just regular Darkrai. Which is... Again, like I was saying, the baby Veltals and high escape rope count can make this really annoying. Running Flare Grunt, that's good to know. But Darkrai Teen is a lot easier than Darkrai because attached D to E, they're a lot more susceptible to Enhanced Hammer then. We will draw our mulligans. Neither of those are very good. May end up attaching to Beedrill. Just so I can retreat. The cool thing about not starting Houndoom is he has no idea what I'm playing, and probably thinks it's Vileplume, which means he's probably going to dig a bit further. What else plays Beedrill? Like Greninja? Okay, he didn't dig at all. Alright, I'm glad I top deck Shaman, so I can use this Ultra Ball for like a Yungoos or something. Yeah, sure. Oh my god, we've got 2 Houndoom prized. That's insane. That's actually insane. Come on, guys. Tempted to grab out Bunnelby here and Fury Belt it, because 1, 2, 3, 4 is 80. He'd need to hit another Max Elixir. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I'm fine with that. I don't want to Fury Belt my first Houndoom of the game. I'm fine giving him a little awkward prize race and trying to dig for Floatstone here. Head's cool. Well, we'll get it off the active first. Maybe that's not right. Get it off the bench. Cool. That was really, really good. You know, this deck runs a lot better when you flip heads on all of your Crushing Hammers, just in case anybody was wondering. Starting Yungoos is good. I don't want to get rid of the Max Potion. I do want to grab that Floatstone, though. I'm honestly content to not Sycamore here and see what he has, because I really don't want to get rid of the Max Potion. I suppose I could Sycamore then Rototiller the Max Potion back in, but I can do that next turn if I want to. It's not looking like I'll get KO'd here. Okay, he's got VS Seeker. I mean, if he has VS Seeker in hand, he'll just play it for the end. That's actually one thing you have to watch out for. If your opponent has a dead hand and you mill away a supporter, it's usually because they had VS Seeker in hand and they just took it back. It happens to me a lot, honestly. Yeah, we've put ourselves in a good position here. He'd need a... Yeah, there, see? I told you. That's how it goes. But that's fine. Make it for more interesting for the viewers. Alright, okay hand. Okay hand indeed. I think that's a terrible idea of him. I'm not going to KO anything, so I don't know why he's doing that. Can't even declare the attack. Lovely. I don't even want to Lazon this in the active, though, because he'll just start Oblivion Winging and reattaching energies. I think Flare Grunt's fine here. And yeah, I don't really want to do anything else, so we're just going to burrow. You'd think getting rid of multiples of them would be good, but it's not. He only needs 2 Pokemon. Cool thing about this, though, at least, is it gives him less things to put energy on. So maybe he'll fall for the Gumshoos GX trap, and I can just kill him in 1 hit. Alright, plays his own parallel, so we're stuck at 3 Pokemon for the whole game. That's annoying, but it's not impossible to deal with. I would like... I would really like some way to retreat the Bunnelby into Beedrill this turn, but it's not going to happen. But because I feel like he might Floatstone this and then just start swinging back to his own Pokemon. But if he does... No, if he Floatstones it, it'll be annoying. Okay, he's going to go for Lazond. That's fine, we have Floatstone in hand. Shaman's himself, that's what we want to see. Aqua Base is another cool card you can run in this. Alright, he's going to Escape Rope. Probably just go into Beedrill here, right? I mean, what's he going to do? Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind if he gets damage on the Beedrill. Lazan's looking pretty tasty next turn, though. And I think it's going to be on the Shaman, because if I bring up the Darkrai, he attaches and attacks. If I bring up the Shaman, he attaches and retreats. Oh, but Flare Grunt's cool too. Don't give me options. 20, 40, 60. I would really... Gumshoos GX would be great here, because now I could see what it is exactly that he has in his hand. So... I can't Shaman, which sucks. It's because if he had a Dark Energy in hand, obviously I play the Lazant. Retreats, attaches another one. It's a moot point, I think. So I'd rather get Lazant in the discard pile. So we'll bring up Shaman. And we'll burrow. Oh, nice. Alright, cool. Yep. This is going well so far. The one thing I want to get... I mean, is he running Super Rod? I cannot remember if these lists run Super Rod or not. I'd like to get rid of switching cards. He's down 1 escape rope. Let's say he plays 3. I mean, I've been saying Floatstone here. Like, I mean, I don't know how many people are running the version with just high counts of escape rope and not running the Floatstones at all. I guess we'll find out. He's not playing any draw supporters, but that's not that might not be just because he doesn't have them in hand. It might just be because he doesn't want to dig. Either is fair enough. Yeah, so he's going to retreat. He's not going to be able to KO the Bunnelby unless he has another Max Elixir. Oh, gets rid of VS Seeker. 2 down, boys. Yeah, well, he did have the Dark Energy in hand, so that's telling. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, well, he might hit another Max Elixir. He might KO the Bunnelby. If he does... He's got Floatstone now, okay. Fury Belt's the Darkrai. Well, the Floatstone actually means he doesn't need the... Yeah, okay. So now he doesn't need... He's got enough damage, because he didn't need to pay retreat. Alright, and Dark Pulse for the KO. That's fine though, there's one prize, he's got 21 cards in deck, although I would like to hit my 1 Houndoom right about now. Two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Honestly, like, Flare Grunt might be kind of powerful right here. And I don't care if he kills the Beedrill looking at this setup, given that he's got a Dark Energy on the Shaman anyway. And I don't want him to put Floatstones on a bunch of things, and that's not going to happen. So, yeah, Flare Grunt takes him down a bit. I can Shaman up again, but then I can't play my Houndoom. I think I'd rather just hit Houndoom and max potions. Let's go for that. And Gumshoos, importantly enough. Well, I don't hit Houndoom, because this deck is great. And 1 Houndoom in the whole deck is super annoying. Heads on that. We will take it off the active. Now I can double Scrapper here. I think I'm almost going to build up a Sky Return just to try and get this off the board. Yeah, that's fine. Sycamore next turn, try and hit fun stuff. Five. It's 130. Oh, wow, that is a KO, because I forgot about Fighting Fury Belt. Go me. Should have played the Max Potion. I don't mind them going down too many prizes, because I can still force them to take 2 Houndooms. I.e. 1 Houndoom, Super Rod, 1 Houndoom. Forgot about the Fury Belt, man. But he might be out of max elixir now. Yeah, he's got 3. He's got 1 max elixir left. Think this is an end turn. Where are all of my stuffs and things? Play this, hit Ultra Ball, get rid of these 2. Yeah. I like how that started with play this, hit Ultra Ball. Oh, he played it and hit Ultra Ball. Do I feel safe when he's hitting 130? Plays another energy, hits 150. Max elixirs. I'll tell you what. Let's find out. Search the premises. Alright, he's got Kukui. That's annoying. Okay, he has Kukui, Trainer's Mail, and Fury Belts. This might be Sky Return. How? Let's see. Let's see. Max, he gets 2 more energy. It's 130, 150, 170, plus Kukui is 190. Not getting the KO on the Gumshoos. So I am going to Sky Return. Please tell me I added that up right. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10 energy in total. 11 energy now, alright? That might be all that he has. And we need to bear this in mind for total numbers that he can hit. Because let's see, he's got 2 energy on this. Lazonding this guy would be nice if he doesn't max elixir. Oh, he failed it. Okay. Yeah, he's got to be out of energy at this point. Is he running Super Rod? Surely we would have seen it. The XP share going down Darkrai. How many hammers have gone through? 3? Yeah, 3. I'm thinking Team Skull Grunt is going to be really... Or not Team Skull Grunt, but Team Flare Grunt here would be really good. So before we do anything, we'll search. It's just 1 Fighting Fury Belt. Yep, Flare Grunt is absolutely the play. Alright, and gone you are. Gonna Ultra Ball away. I don't need Parallel at this point. And probably the Rocket. Yeah, that's fine. So we'll get out our 1 Houndoom EX. And this is where we start doing really well. I should have kept Parallel so I could Shaman and try and hit Max Potion for the Gumshoos, actually. That would have been really clever. Alright. What did you hit, buddy? We don't know. Ultra Ball, okay. Well, he's got Silent Lab in play, another Shaman down. Yeah, I don't care about that. Melt. And this is where we start going ham. Oh, look at those 2 discards. They were great. Like, I assume he's got 1 energy left in his whole deck. He's only hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is 6. It's 120. Yeah, he's only hitting 120 with this one. So if he escape ropes into it, that's actually going to be annoying because we have Gumshoos on the bench. But, oh, at that point it might have done his job. Yep, passes the turn over to us. Failing the mail. Alright, Skylar for Max Potion. Perfect. 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 I am going to use it again just to double check. And also to force myself to get into a habit of using it every turn. Because IRL, I just forget to use it sometimes. And, you know, Gumshoos is great, but not when you forget to use it. So Melting Horn again. Oh my, look at that. VS Seeker Sycamore. Is that all his VS Seekers? No, we got one left. It depends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6 there, yeah. Is he playing 11 energy? Or 2 Ultra Balls. Is he playing 11 energy, or is he playing... what you call it? 12. Yeah, why did it take me so long to think of the word for 12? Either way, I'm going to melt. Card, my hand's hammering something else. I missed the other card. Goes into 6. Oh, he found the 12th energy. Well done. Well done. But now we put ourselves in a great position, right? We just have to hit Flare Grunt, and we should be good. So let's Ultra Ball away these two. Grab out a Shaman. We got 2 Flare Grunts. Do we? Yeah, we got 2 Flare Grunts. And how many VS Seekers? 3. Alright. Looking really likely that we're going to hit this. I'll limit his bench. I don't think it matters, honestly, but yeah, we'll limit his bench. We'll stick this on the Gumshoos just to burn it out of the hand. Shaman. Come on, Flagrant. There it is. Ah, we got a physical copy, even better. Search premises just before you decide. Yep, perfect. Again, I just want to get into the habit of it. Flagrant. And I doubt he's running 13 energy. That's all of his. It's got to be game from here. Even if it isn't, I can, like, I don't know, rocket Handiwork and probably win there. Because he won't be able to kill the Gumshoos in 2 hits. His only way of switching is Escape Rope, which means I promote this and he can't finish me off with Oblivion Wing. He'd need Escape Rope Lazond. I think he is out of Lazonds. Both in the discard pile. This has been a really good game at showing off Houndoom. Hex Maniacs. Like, it's 2 Ultra Balls and a Fury Belt, man. Let's do it. Seal it. Seal the deal. We don't even need the mill. There we go. That's Houndoom. It's really good. Guys, it's really, really good. You need to put in the practice with it, and it has a few bad matchups, but it is very good. I hope that game showed that off really well. So I'll give you up the list again. I cannot make any more games today because it's super late and I had a long-ass day. But I really hope you guys enjoyed watching that. Seriously, the best card Pokemon has ever printed in its 20-ish years of life. Trust me. Just trust me. This has been Joe from Webcast. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.